Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really diving into some interesting source material. It's all focused on helping English learners, specifically around the B1 level, improve their speaking fluency.
Yeah, it's such a common sticking point, isn't it? That B1 level where you feel like you should be able to speak more.
Exactly. And the sources we've got here really highlight those classic challenges, understanding a lot when you listen or read. But then when it comes to actually speaking, it's like, uh-oh.
Yeah, hitting that wall.
Yeah.
Forgetting words, worrying about grammar.
Or just hesitating.
Freezing up. Or, defaulting to silence because it feels safer. And the source is quick to say, look, that's normal. That feeling is totally okay.
Okay, so it acknowledges the struggle. But what's the core insight here? If it's normal, how do you get past it?
Well, this is the interesting part. The source argues pretty strongly that the key isn't necessarily just piling on more words or, perfecting every grammar rule.
Right, because that's often what learners focus on. More study, more lists.
Exactly. But this material suggests the real breakthrough comes from building speaking habits.
The geeking habit. So
Yeah, think of it less like studying for a test and more like training, like physical training.
Training your mouth.
Training your brain. Kind of. Training them to work together using rhythm, repetition, and importantly, the kind of expressions people actually use in real life, not just textbook phrases.
That's a really different way to frame it. Fluency as a skill you train, not just knowledge you acquire.
Precisely. So our mission today is to unpack these specific strategies, these perspectives from the source material, all aimed at building those crucial speaking habits for you if you're around that B1 level.
Okay, let's get into it. Where is the source suggest starting? It talks about really understanding the barrier first.
Yeah, it revisits those specific issues, forgetting words mid-sentence, that grammar anxiety that just stops you in your tracks.
The hesitation, the silence. We keep coming back to silence.
Because the source hammers this point home. Silence is the real enemy here, not making a mistake.
That feels counterintuitive, though. The fear of making mistakes is huge for so many learners.
It absolutely is. But the logic in the source is simple. You can't improve your speaking if you're not, speaking.
Right.
Every time you actually say something, even if it's not perfect, you're doing the work. You're building what the source calls that fluency muscle.
A fluency muscle. I like that.
Yeah.
So it's about the action, the habit.
Exactly. Active training, habit formation. That's the path forward, according to this material, more than just passive knowledge gathering.
Okay, so if we accept that, how do we actually start building these habits? The source offers some very practical techniques.
It does. One of the first is called mini conversation practice. Simple name, simple idea.
Okay.
You basically take a short, realistic dialogue, something you'd actually encounter, and you just practice repeating the lines.
And it gives that coffee shop example, which is perfect.
Yeah.
Super relatable.
Yeah, exactly. So you imagine you're in a coffee shop.
Yep.
You can practice being the customer, the you role.
So the barista says, hi there. What can I get started for you today?
And your line, the one you practice saying out loud, is, hi, I'd like a medium cappuccino, please.
Then the barista might ask, would you like anything to eat with that?
And you practice replying, yes, I'll take a blueberry muffin.
Just back and forth like that?
Yep, barista. Great choice. That'll be $6.75. You.
Yeah.
Here you go, barista. Thank you. Your drink will be ready in just a moment. You. Thanks so much.
So the goal isn't deep understanding, it's just getting your mouth used to forming those common sentences. The physical act of saying them.
That's exactly it. Making those everyday exchanges feel smoother, more automatic.
Okay, makes sense. What's the next technique it mentions?
It builds on this idea of repetition with something called repeat and shadowing.
Shadowing. I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's pretty popular. You take that same kind of dialogue, maybe the coffee shop one again, or any short audio clip, really.
Okay.
And this time, you try to speak at the same time as the recording, like literally talking over the original speaker.
Whoa, okay, so you're trying to match their speed and like the music of their voice.
Exactly. Their pace, their rhythm, their intonation. And the source is clear. Don't worry about getting it perfect. That's not the point.
It sounds challenging.
It can be at first, but the focus is just on trying to match the flow.
And why does this work? What's the theory behind shadowing, according to the source?
Well, the explanation is pretty interesting. It suggests that doing this helps your mouth physically learn the shapes and sounds of connected speech.
Ah, how words link together.
Right. And at the same time, your brain starts absorbing the natural patterns, the rhythm, the intonation, without you consciously analyzing it.
So it's bypassing the overthinking part a bit. More muscle memory for speaking.
Exactly. It connects right back to that fluency muscle idea. Less thinking, more doing, imitating.
Gotcha. Okay, besides repetition and shadowing, the source also talks about having some tools ready, like useful everyday phrases.
Yes, absolutely. This is another really practical bit. The idea is to arm yourself with a small set of short, powerful phrases.
Like little conversational first aid phrases.
Sort of. Phrases you can use to fill a pause or ask for clarification or just generally sound more natural and fluent, even if you're searching for other words.
And the source lists specific ones.
It gives 10 really good examples.
Yeah.
Things like, I'm not sure, but I'll find out.
Okay, that's useful. What else?
Let me think for a second.
Oh, yeah, buys you time.
Definitely. And then that sounds great. Just simple, positive agreement.
Could you repeat that, please? Essential.
And the slightly more informal version. Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Good to have both. What do you think about it? Turns the conversation back.
I see what you mean. Shows understanding.
I haven't thought about that before. Another good thinking pause.
I'd love to help. Positive and engaging.
And finally,
Let's do it. Shaz enthusiasm, readiness.
those are great. They're so versatile, you could use them in almost any conversation.
Totally. And the source actually suggests, just pick 2 or 3 of those and make a point of trying to use them in a conversation later today.
I can really see how using something like, let me think for a second, instead of just awkward silence, would make a huge difference to how fluent you sound and feel.
Exactly. It keeps the conversation flowing.
So we've got these techniques, mini conversations, shadowing, using filler phrases. How does the source suggest integrating these? It can feel overwhelming trying to do everything.
Right. And this is where the source offers what it calls a secret, which is maybe not so secret, but definitely reassuring.
Okay, what's the secret?
You don't need hours and hours every day. The source argues you can make real progress with just 10 to 15 minutes of focused speaking practice daily.
10 to 15 minutes. Really? That sounds actually doable.
Doesn't it? Compared to feeling like you need to find a whole hour, it makes it much less daunting.
So what does that 10-15 minutes look like? Does it give a structure?
It does. A very specific breakdown. It suggests start with just 2 minutes, speak out loud about your day, just narrate what you did, what happened.
Okay, simple warm-up.
Then 3 minutes. Listen to and shadow a short video clip, putting that shadowing technique into practice.
Right.
Next, 5 minutes. Do that mini conversation practice. Repeat lines from a dialogue like the coffee shop one.
Got it. Building repetition.
And the final 5 minutes, engage in free speaking, which basically means talking to yourself out loud.
Talking to yourself. Like what?
Yeah, describe the room you're in, talk about your plans, ask yourself questions, and answer them. Just keep talking.
So it's a little bit of everything: review, shadowing, repetition, and then just letting loose, all in 15 minutes.
Exactly. The source labels this routine easy, practical, powerful.
And it all ties back to that core idea, doesn't it? That speaking is the practice.
It really does.
Yeah.
Which naturally leads back to the whole issue of mistakes.
That fear again. Yeah.
The source is really direct about this. It repeats that core message. Mistakes are not the problem. Silence is.
So stop worrying about perfection and just talk.
Pretty much. The message is crystal clear. Speak freely. Speak imperfectly. Speak bravely. That is how you become fluent. Every single time you speak, you're training that muscle.
It's about shifting the goal from speak perfectly to just speak.
You got it. And this kind of fluency, the source emphasizes, comes from engaging with real English, real life, not just textbooks.
Right, less focus on memorizing grammar charts and long lists of rules.
Yeah, those have their place, maybe, but fluency is built in the doing. The source suggests alternatives like
what kind of real life practice?
well, actively listening to how people really talk in conversations, and then trying to repeat phrases you hear, speaking out loud daily, even if it's just for those 15 minutes, and importantly, finding ways to have fun with it.
Fun? How so?
It gives examples like watching a short scene from a movie you like, pause it, repeat a line of dialogue the way the actor said it,
Oh, that sounds more engaging than a textbook drill.
or pick something you actually care about, your favorite food, a trip you took, your hobby, and just talk about it out loud in English to yourself.
Gets you using vocabulary you actually want to use.
Exactly. And it even suggests pretending to call a friend and acting out both sides of the phone conversation.
Okay, that requires a bit of imagination, but I can see how it would make you practice different conversational turns.
Right. It gets you actively using the language in a simulated real context.
And then to really push the listener, The source ends with a specific challenge, right?
It does. A direct challenge for you, listening right now. Speak English out loud for 5 minutes straight, without stopping.
5 minutes nonstop. That might feel like a long time if you're prone to hesitating.
It might, but it suggests topics to make it easier, like describe your room in detail, talk about your job or your school day.
Or maybe tell the story of what you did yesterday.
Yeah, or outline your goals for the coming week. Simple, personal topics.
And what's the crucial instruction for this 5-minute challenge?
Keep talking. If you can't find the exact word you want, don't freeze. Say something else. Use a different word. Describe it. Just keep the sound going.
So the goal isn't perfect sentences.
No. The goal is flow. Flow, not perfection. That phrase really sums up the source's whole philosophy.
Flow, not perfection. It's a great mantra for language learning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the source wraps everything up with some really nice words of encouragement.
Yeah, basically saying, look, if you're listening to this, if you're engaging with material like this, you care. You're already doing the work.
You're already growing. It reassures you that your English is improving little by little with each bit of practice.
And reinforces that you don't have to wait until you're perfect. You just need to practice, to speak, and importantly, to believe you can.
It even offers some affirmations, powerful little sentences you can say to yourself. Things like, I can speak English. I'm improving every day.
That's empowering.
And my voice matters. I am learning. I am growing.
Nice.
And maybe the most crucial one, given the fear factor, I am not afraid to speak. I am ready.
Wow. Saying those regularly could really shift your mindset.
Definitely helps build that confidence muscle alongside the fluency muscle.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it feels like the overwhelming message from this source material is, stop waiting, start speaking. Fluency isn't some magical endpoint you reach after perfect study.
Right. It's built brick by brick, or maybe word by word, through consistent, focused speaking habits, through being brave enough to practice, even imperfectly.
And just by listening today, by thinking about these ideas, you're already on that path. You're already investing in your fluency.
Absolutely.
So here's the final thought to leave you with, drawing directly from this material. Consider how powerful that simple idea is, just 10 or 15 minutes. That tiny slice of your day dedicated to focused, out loud, imperfect speaking practice. This source suggests that small daily commitment can fundamentally change how you feel about speaking English and actually unlock your fluency. So the question is, what one small practice could you start today?